On Capital FM 92.9, it's a weekly program that highlights issues concerning the development of the nation's political system. And in this week's edition, we will be discussing the INEC's preparation for November Staggered Election. I am Mayowa Shoname, your guide to stay tuned. So as preparation for the 2023 general elections picks up pace in some staggering states, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has reiterated its commitment to raising the bar of the standard set in previous elections. To this end, the chairman of the commission, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, charged resident electoral commissioners to work towards addressing some recurring logistics issues in the conduct of elections and ensure that the forthcoming elections in Kogi, Imo, and Bayelsa states are different from all previous elections in terms of INEC's preparations and delivery. He gave the charge during the Commission's second quarterly meeting with Rex in Abuja. And joining me for this conversation is Mr. Faruk Adejoh Audu, who is definitely on his way. And of course, in the studio already is Dr. Aliyu Ilias, Political Analyst. It's good to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
I love your cap.
Thanks so much.
Suits you well. All right, so going straight to our conversation this morning. Some staggered elections are scheduled before the end of this year in Kogi, Bayelsa, and Imo State. So what is your take on the level of INEC's preparedness for this exercise?
All right. First and foremost, we must say thank you to our INEC because over time they keep evolving, bringing technology into elections and trying to move beyond where they are. I happened to monitor last year, the end this year election, and a lot of things have been experimented as well. So looking at these three staggered election, which is Kogi, Imo, and Bayelsa, it's they have come out and said that we have 5.4 million people that will be in this election, whereby they said Bayelsa 1 million, Kogi 1.9, and Imo 2.4. But we have to look at the volatility in this area of election because it's not only election, it's an environment safe for this election. That's number one. And if I may even clarify this, it's not in the purview of INEC to actually cater to the security of the election. It is the work of the security agencies that we have in Nigeria. So for me, I think INEC, if INEC can conduct election in 28 states at the same time, to conduct three off-season election wouldn't have been a problem. The only challenge is that the logistics has to be top-notch, the security has to be there, because they also express possible fear of insecurity, and with the reasons that if you look at Imo State has become another challenging environment where we have unknown gunmen, we have different things. And you could even also recall that the INEC facility was destroyed several times in that state, which also brings a lot of fear. Then Kogi has been known for election and election violence, which is another problem we need to look at. Then Bayelsa also have a lot of tension. You could see that APC candidates, according to court, was saying that he's not fit to be the candidate, and a lot of things happen. But for me, I think INEC, they are in well position to really do well because the major challenge then was about IREV, and I think they should have done more in terms of IREV and improve on what they have been doing before now.
And so you think there will be a drastic improvement in what happened in previous elections?
Yes, according to them, they have scheduled time for mock tests, right? And so I think by doing that mock test in the three states, that would have exposed the possible challenge, and they will plan as expected to really meet up.
And you see the mock test, does it really have influence on what really happens on the day? Because in the past, we see that the mock test, mock accreditation, everything seems to go well. But when it comes to the day of the election...
Right. Like I said, I've been part of the election monitoring and looking at the mock itself. I think mock test to an extent expose them to some things that could probably happen. But you know, the election is not what you can really predict when it is. The tension during election itself is always different. So what I would advise INEC to do is to have a backup at every things they are doing. Because let's talk about logistics. The major responsibility of INEC in any election is logistics, and I'm sure in their office, the highest department should be supply chain department. They have to make sure that things go on as expected. For instance, you are saying you will resume election proceedings at 8 a.m. across all polling units. You must ensure that it actually starts. You said the collation center is supposed to be a particular place and all the stakeholders to be there. If all these things are put, if the logistics are put in place as appropriate, I don't think they will have much problem. And I was, like I also mentioned earlier, the issue of security. Police must decipher a means. Police, civil defense, DSS, all these people must making sure that they support INEC adequately, and they must not wait until the election. They should be there before the election so that they can tame all these possible challenges. Perhaps there could also be issue of buying of vote and what have you. These are issue of EFCC. We noticed that in the last election we saw EFCC going. In fact, in where I actually monitor election, I saw them coming around to monitor. I saw international organizations coming around to monitor the election. So I think this should be another test for INEC, having gone through the national election that really shook them and people have complained about them. By now they should have adjusted well appropriately and give us an unprecedented good election process.
We'll return to this issue of INEC in the course of the program, but let's talk about the people and those who are regarded as the voters. Do you think there's enough sensitization of the people in those affected states towards this particular election?
Well, my much fear is that you look at national election, that when we see how the numbers of people that are supposed to vote, a patchy some less than 20 million came to vote in the national election, and you could see that. So there is apathy, there is voter apathy. People are losing confidence in the in INEC, and that's why INEC must come to do more. So I will encourage that people should come out to really exercise their vote. You know what? It also cost us a lot. Imagine INEC work on maybe about 40 or 50 million people to vote in national election. We end up having like maybe 16 or there about million. That means we are to waste all those things. So sometimes your civic responsibility as a Nigerian is also to do what? To make sure that you really cast your vote, because that really counts. Like now, from what I saw, about 17 to 18 political parties have registered to be part of the election. So this number of political parties should also encourage their citizens to come. Though some of us also are canvassing for proportional representation in Nigerian government system. Now, if the winner does not take all, for instance, if a particular party emerge the winner, it's going to take all the positions. But if we do proportional, so if somebody comes first, it take about 50%. Somebody who comes second take about 30%. Somebody who comes third take about. It will bring much more interest of people. That if after we didn't become the winner, if we become the second, we have some things that we also do. So I think that over time Nigeria should think towards that area where we have proportional representation, not the winner takes all, because you might win in your local government, someone else win another local government. These are why we should think about proportional representation.
You think politicians are also ready for that?
Well, the thing is, it also boils down to our National Assembly. Okay, but if you look at National Assembly, it's more of like that. In National Assembly, we have about 8 political parties in the National Assembly. So if the executive can also imbibe that if you take some percentage, you should also take advantage in the governance. So it will bring inclusive governance and there will be better outcome. So I think we should start thinking about proportional representation.
So that really affect the constitution. It has to come from the constitution.
That's why I said National Assembly have to work on it so that they can really adjust and do something appropriately to better it.
All right. Earlier you made mention of threats, talking about security threats.
Right.
A lot of violence in the state, especially talking about Kogi, talking about Imo. Such violence have been recorded in the past, always gruesome. Such actions, can you tell the implications of such actions on the polls?
Well, the first thing is that once there is violence, people will not want to come out. In fact, let's even look at Imo, for instance. Like, Igbo, there is a kind of unknown gunmen that have been, taking advantage of that area and maybe making it ungovernable. So such area needs special attention, not on the election day, but before the election itself. You know why? Because people are scared. If you go to most states in Southeast now, on Mondays, they don't go to their offices. So also if such threat comes for election too, it may be a serious problem. So it may lead to voters apathy. And voter apathy simply means that you are expecting 2.4 million people to come out and vote. You may end up seeing 400,000. Would that show the truly decision of people? Why some people are being threatened not to come out? So these are the things our security agencies need to look at. Now, even before the election, Kogi has been having issues on its own already, whereby you see that SDP candidate will say APC people are the one that actually had issue with him. The APC will say it's SDP and PDP and whatever. So we need to tame this and read the riot act like their police used to read to them and said, if you do this and that, this is what will be. You understand? So these are the things that we need to do. I think Bayelsa is much more peaceful compared to these other states such as Imo and Kogi. But if you also look at the voter strength of Bayelsa, it's about 1,005,000 or so. So it's not as big as though they have riverine area, coastal area that you may have to like cross the river and whatever. But I think security agency need to do more in terms of
reading the riot act. In past, we've seen them sign peace accord, we've seen them making pacts and all this, but when the elections still come, you still record this violence, peace pacts.
And that's also boiled down to people who did what is wrong and go scot-free. If our law actually said if you are caught in this is the terms and what have you, and we adhere to it irrespective of the political party that commits such offense, I think that would have, when you see people who have tried to commit such negative things, you see them rotting in jail, you will think twice that, will I vote for this? This is what will be the result. So perhaps, I think it's not bad if they still read the right. And remember, even IG said he's ready to roar, like a lion and whatever. So I want him to go to that area and also make sure he does those things he mentioned, so that people that want to vote will have confidence, because confidence building is the major problem. I want to cast my vote and I'm scared of not being shot. I'm scared of not being lynched. These are the problems that we need to really tame over, so that it will not make us to lose. Because as the federal government, if you print voters maybe form and all those things for about 2.4 million and end up see 300,000, see the loss to the government, and these are common patrimony that have been expended to achieve. So these are the reasons why they need to really do what they're supposed to do to make sure there is security during this election.
Dr. Ilias, do you have any fear of apathy to a large extent during the elections? As you said, a lot of electorates have the mindset that can I really be secured if I want to go cast my votes?
Like I said, the challenge of apathy is clearly shown on about two states. The Imo states, Imo states of recent, you see that different things are happening. In fact, a political officer for, is it President Muhammad Buhari, Ahmad Gulak, was gruesomely murdered by unknown gunmen in that state. You see different way of the way they lynch people, the way they attack people, and it's called unknown gunmen. So because of that, if those people also bring up a threat, people might, because of that, don't want to go for the election. And you also see the campaign pattern in Kogi State, that most people in most areas in Kogi State, when there's campaign, there's always attack from the opposing political party, especially in the Kogi East, and Kogi Central. So these areas are volatile areas that need adequate security. So I even want to canvass furthermore that we also need to kind of have a kind of camera sometime in all these polling units. I don't know how it could be mobile, it could be by police, so that anything that happens, we can actually, after dissidents, we can see the footage of it, and beyond that, we can now take advantage and really monitor and take people to book, people that have done such commitment. So these are the things that we need to do. And in terms of the vote buying, is another thing that is taking people away, because people think no matter what I do, people who that win will still win. Is it not better I still collect what I want to collect? And that's part of what EFCC is doing. But I want EFCC to also decipher other means. You don't want to catch a thief and you wear your uniform to go and catch a thief. It's pretty difficult. So you must also find a way of maybe disguising to be a voter to catch such thing, because sometimes you need to want to collect the money. That's where you get to the source of it, not that you just come around and harass people and before you know they say, did you see anything with me?
Well, if they come as undercover, don't you think that criminal people could also take advantage?
No, when you come as undercover, you don't really arrest at that point in time. You also partake and collect possibly. So by the time you collect, you have your evidence. So after that incident, you now go after them. It's pretty better like that. But if you come with your uniform and what have you, started saying everybody will perhaps bribery or election what have you has gone beyond what we are even looking at. It has gone beyond physical. They can transfer money to people's accounts and you wouldn't know. They can even give them other things. There are different way of actually vote buying. But it is when you are part of them, you follow the process, that's when you can really tame and arrest such offenders.
Okay, so INEC has said that the use of electronic transmission would also be on during these elections. Well, what's your view as regards it?
You see, the issue of electronic transmission, I think, is optional. If you look at the court cases that are going, it is being proven that INEC is free to use any option they want to use. So when they say they want to use it, I want us, if it is mandated by our law that you must transfer, electronically, I think that's. But the thing is, at the collation center, I think that can be capture, but the IRF issue is major issue we are having. But me, I'm canvassing that in as much as we want to do that, can we still have all this political party at the back end too? Now that we have 17 political party contesting, maybe in Kogi state now. So can INEC now say, okay, let me absorb this 17 party representative to be at the back end. So anything that is happening, you can also see. But now INEC say no, you cannot see that. It is what we show you that. See, these are the difference that we need to look at. I think, but in terms of development, I must tell you, we must commend INEC because they are not where they used to be. We may not be at where we think we should be, but we are not where we used to be before. So for me, INEC has actually tried right from the one that conducted for Jonathan Buhari, what was his name? That he has done well to transform, and this one is also transforming. So I think over time we'll move until where we will not have to go and line up. We now have to do electronic voting. I think let it not be an utopian imagination. I hope we can achieve that over time.
Just coming into the studio is our guest. I told you earlier that Mr. Faruk Adejoh Audu, a political analyst, a spokesperson to the Kogi State Social Democratic Party Gubernatorial Candidate, will also be joining us. And good to know he's here, being held up by traffic somewhat, he says. But we're grateful he's here. Thank you so much for joining us and coming into the studio.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
All right, good to you. So we'll be talking about INEC's preparation for November Staggered Election, and of course looking at your post as the spokesperson to the Kogi State Social Democratic Party Gubernatorial Candidate. What do you think as regards INEC's preparedness towards this election?
Well, so far, from our own perspective, INEC has done everything it's supposed to do so far. INEC has I think the last exercise was the release of outstanding PVCs to voters, and I think maybe yesterday the uploading of names for agents that we monitor the elections, party agents. I think the uploading was ended yesterday. So far, so good. INEC has done whatever it's supposed to do, but we are vigilant, very vigilant.
Vigilant? What do you mean by being vigilant?
Well, it's happened a lot of times that it is not enough that you earn votes from the electorate. Okay, you cannot be totally dependent on INEC. That is the reality of our system. That if you're popular and you get votes from the electorate, you must also move to protect your votes. You must also move to protect your votes. So we scrutinize every bit of what INEC does. Every step they take, we scrutinize it to ensure that we're not, it may not be deliberate, but definitely there are other participants who may not want to play fair, even if INEC wants to play fair. So we're vigilant to ensure that nobody cheats us.
And INEC has promised to be fair, and of course says that there will be electronic transmission of results. What's your view on this?
It's very welcome. Extremely, very, very welcome. Electronic transmission of results will ensure transparency, it will ensure fairness, and it will boost confidence. Okay, it will reinforce the confidence of the people in the process. We just hope that there is no technical issues. We actually have, like my candidate will always say, we have full confidence in INEC. We're just hoping that no technical issues. We shall not accept any technical issue on the day of election that will now make it impossible for electronic transmission of results, because that is the major insurance we have against electoral fraud by people.
And looking at Kogi State and every news that's been out as regards violence, do you think there will be some sort of voter apathy?
Well, we are educating the voters. We are mobilizing them, and we are telling them that, look, like late Senator Sule Gandhi once said, that whatever is worth living for is worth dying for. Okay? Elections, voting is our right. It is the only opportunity the ordinary man has to have a say in government and in governance. It's the only opportunity they have to enthrone either good government or to vote out bad government. And if anybody decides that his own tactics is to scare the people with violence, we have a duty. Those of us who are sure that we have a mission in government, and we have a mission that we are coming for a reason. It's our duty to embolden the people to resist them. We have told our people, let them come and shoot overnight. Because what they used to do is that a night before election, they come and shoot everywhere. On the day of election, talks will be moving from polling unit to polling unit. I mean, that is what happens in Kogi. Okay? And everybody knows where it's coming from. I mean, being a journalist myself, I try as much as possible not to say some things on air, because I know the rules. You understand? But we know where this violence is coming from. But we are telling our people to be steadfast, to resist them. Okay? We are telling our people to resist them. And we're also hoping that the security agencies, and that is where we have the main problem. The last election was held in 2019 in Nigerian police helicopter. And this is very painful. It is very hurting each time you remember that the Nigerian police helicopter was in the air shooting at Nigerian voters.
Now, how has that been? Has that really been confirmed?
Yeah, of course it is confirmed. The private people own helicopters, yeah. Nigerian police helicopter, we knew who piloted the helicopter. We knew everything. It is there. Nobody ever investigated it. It went in this country, but this time around it will not happen.
So it's safe to say it hasn't been proven?
No, it is proven. It's not, I mean, it matter in the public domain. We have said it repeatedly. I've said it on TV. I've said it everywhere. This must be over 1,000 times that I'm saying it. I challenge the Nigerian police to deny that helicopter was not their own.
Okay, that would be another matter, another issue of discuss.
You know, so the point we're making is that the security agencies should help us.
Okay.
Any election victory obtained by force of arms is a coup d'etat. The constitution is very clear that the only true democracy you can enthrone in government. If anybody comes with thugs and guns to come and shoot at people, scare people, so that they can be declared winner of an election, what the person has done is treason. It is a coup d'etat. And the Nigerian police must ensure that there are no coup d'etats in Nigeria or in Kogi.
That they will definitely do. Okay, Dr. Aliyu Ilias, okay, your final take on this, your advice to INEC, the security agents, and all sorts of politicians.
Right, like you rightly said, INEC has become, INEC, I must say they have grown over time, and we expect them to do a better this time. But the major thing is also security. Security must be there before the election and during the election, so that they can really give people confidence, so that they will not be voter apathy. And to voters is your civic right. So I enjoy you to go vote and vote your person.
All right, Mr. Faruk Adejoh, your final take to politicians like you.
Well, we appeal to everybody that the election is not do or die. There are people who have lost elections and they are still around. They come back, they win another day. The last president of Nigeria who left here, General Muhammadu Buhari lost election a record 4 times before he finally won. So if you don't win now, it could be your turn the next time. So we should try as much as possible not to be desperate.
Thank you so much. That's how we can go on the package. Special thanks to our guests on the show, political analyst and spokesperson to the Kogi State Social Democratic Party Gubernatorial Candidate, Mr. Faruk Adejoh Audu, and also Dr. Aliyu Ilias, a political analyst. We appreciate you. Special thanks to the producers, Georgina Humphrey, assisted by Risika Tujeme, Sadiq Yaro, and of course, he supervised. My name is Mayo Ashunami. We'll definitely do this next week, same time, same station. And of course, well, that's to all voters, because mock accreditation will be this weekend. Go out and let INEC do the necessary tests so that the real day will come.